Hey everybody, this is Birdman with the Legends of Nirvana, and I'm going to do a couple of videos for some solo playthroughs that I've done recently. And the first one I'm going to be doing is Unstoppable. So was really impressed with this game. It came out this year, 2025. I believe it was a Kickstarter, but I didn't get it via Kickstarter. I just bought it off the Renegade Studios website. But a little bit of information before we get started. Make sure that you please hit that like button on below, and so that you can see the additional videos that we produce. So Randy, Miranda, and myself, and see what kind of games we're currently playing. So Unstoppable 2025. The overall rank is 1,715, but the individual rating is pretty high at 8.4. Plays 1 to 2 people. I've only played it solo myself. Plays in about 30 to 90 minutes for ages 14 and up. I think that's pretty accurate. There's quite a few card mechanics involved. It can get a little complicated. Designed by John D. Clair. Love his games. Now, forgive me for mispronouncing these, but there's a pretty long list of artists involved. I want to make sure I give them credit. So Cold Castle Studios, Giuseppe Delure, Bryant Grizzle, Gunship Revolution, Damian Memeliti, Pipi Mazza, or I'm sorry, Fabian Parente, Jacobo Schiavo, and Darko Stovijan and something. I apologize for mispronouncing that. Lengthy name. Published by Renegade Game Studios. Now, MSRP for just the game is 60 bucks. Now, I got it cheaper, the base set, at Card House. I did get this at Card House at $47.99. But there's an expansion and a playmat video. Both of those are only available on the Renegade website. So those I did get on the Renegade website. So base game is $60, $47.99 for Card House. Playmat's $20. Tyrant's End, which is the expansion, is only $15. And basically it just adds a little bit of everything. So you get more stuff. So that's it on that. So to kind of get stuff started, first, just overall component quality. It's a card game, so the cards themselves, pretty thin quality. And the reason why it's thin quality is, if you don't know John D. Clair, he's designed several games that are part of a card crafting system, and this is one of those games. So you have to allow for the thickness of the cards to be built up on top of each other in this single sleeve. So I think that's the reason why they're fairly thin. But because they're thin, the quality is not great, and you can kind of damage them pretty easily if you're not really careful. So make sure you're careful when actually handling the cards until you get them in the sleeve. So card quality, not the best, but you do get the sleeves with the game, so you don't have to pay any extra for that, which is, I think, a pretty big bonus. The mat itself doesn't come with the base game, but the mat is pretty nice. It's got the edge stitching, and it's two-sided, so depending on how you like the format of your setup, you can set it up a couple different ways. I thought that was pretty cool. You have some wooden discs that kind of mark how many actions you have per turn. You got some wooden markers to talk about health and damage and armor, excuse me. And other than that, you have a fairly thin cardboard player mat. You get some cardboard for your boss encounters. You got a really neat little storybook. Now, there's multiple characters you can pick, but the main character's name is Kai Silver. So the storybook is about Kai, but it's pretty lengthy. It's 23 pages in length, so that's pretty cool. The rule book itself, pretty good, but we'll get to that in a minute. So overall quality, again, the card quality is not the best, but with the sleeves, it's not too bad. I'd have to probably give it a 7. So again, being careful of those cards as you play them, you could damage them pretty easily. So just be careful with that. Okay, moving on to the rule book. So rule book, very easy to read. It's overall a total of 19 pages, but the back page is just credits. But there's several sections that are really helpful, so I do recommend that you read it fairly carefully. But the main thing that, if I were to critique anything, is the sleeving guide. I actually had to look up a video on how to sleeve this game, so I thought it was a little confusing. But once you get it sleeved, the rest of the setup and all that's great according to the rule book. But it wasn't super clear on how to sleeve the cards initially. So you may have to do a little bit more investigation. But other than that, I thought the rulebook did a great job of explaining the cards, the anatomy, the iconography, playthrough, setup, all that stuff. I thought they did a really good job. Just wish it was easier to sleeve them. It took me like an hour to figure out how to sleeve them up, and it's actually relatively simple once I did get it figured out. So because of that, I think I can't give it a 9. I think I'd give the rule book an 8. So that's Rulebook. As far as theme, this is a straight up sci-fi deck building game, card crafting game, but it's straight up sci-fi. The artwork is fantastic. You can't really see like who did what because so many people were involved in it, but all of it, overall quality is just really good. They're two-sided cards, and I'll explain why for that when we get into gameplay. But the art's really good. The design of the cards is really good. Everything's easy to read. The iconography, once you get used to what everything means, easy to read. So theme, it's a lot of fun to play. So I think that helped thematically too. So theme's pretty strong. I don't think it's a cut and paste theme either. It kind of makes sense for what you do in the game. So I'm going to give it a pretty good score, 8. Theme is really good. Now, as far as overall gameplay, I won't go into a whole lot of depth because there's a lot of card mechanics, and we really don't have the time to explain all of that. But the basic gist of the game is you got to pick a hero. All the heroes have a starting deck that's exactly the same, and they're two-sided. One side is basically the abilities that you're going to get as you play them, but your deck is also what's called the threat deck. So that's the enemies that you got to defeat. So on the other side are the enemies themselves. So it's a really cool system on how that's built. But you have a starting deck, but then each hero has 3 specific cards unique to them. So you're going to add that to your deck as well. And so once you get those cards made, you shuffle them up, you draw, and then you flip it over, and then that's going to be your threat deck. So you know exactly what you're going to be facing throughout the game. So I thought that was really interesting mechanic to the game. And the way you get more cards into the deck so you can build it out, but you also get more enemies as a result, is you got your marketplace up here. And so as you play through the threats, you eventually be able to get to level up. And the way you level up is if you cannot draw a card based off of 2 different phases. So as soon as that happens, then you level up, which basically means you shuffle your deck, you realign all the heroes, you get everything stuff set up, and then you're going to draw from this threat deck over here on the side, which is built based off of what the boss says. So you draw 3, you get to keep 1, put the others back, and then you're going to draw a card from one of the stacks based off of where you're at in the game. And then you're going to add that to the opposite side, and then that good side, the good card you drafted, will go to your hand. So you'll be able to get to play that card immediately, or at least the next round. But either way, you get that new card. But once you discard cards, that's going to shuffle up the deck, and that'll be a new threat to come out. So it's, again, a really interesting way of not just getting cards into your hand to be able to play them, but new enemies that you got to face. And then you got some upgrade cards, and what's cool about the upgrade cards is they actually have an extra section. So all your normal cards are shaped like a U. And so the upgrade cards can add sections to that to be able to give you additional money, experience, abilities, things like that. But like the enemies, it's got another side to it that can add to the enemy effect as well. So again, you have to be kind of careful because you might be upgrading your card, but you might be upgrading the enemy as well, make it tougher to defeat. So one of the ways to lose is if you get defeated by damage from the threat deck. But not only do you have a threat deck that you got to go up against, but you have a boss. So when you first start the game, you got to pick a boss. On the back of the boss tells you how to build the deck that you're going to be drawing from for threats. But other than that, it tells you, you flip it over, and then you have this tracker. And what's kind of cool is that you pick what difficulty you want. So if you're going to pick the easiest level, then as you progress at the end of each round, you just drop down a level. And then there's actually some cool little in-game abilities that you'd be able to help yourself out as well. But you can increase the difficulty. And by increasing the difficulty, then it tells you what colors you're actually going to skip. So basically, you will increase the speed, how fast this token gets to the end. If it gets to the very end before you defeat the boss, you're dead. And then if the boss or the threat cards that you're dealing damage against you get you to 0, you're dead. So you got to be careful about that. So you're really managing your deck, but making sure you get to the threat cards and defeating them in time before they deal damage to you. And then when you start feeling comfortable, then you're actually going to be going up against the boss and trying to deal damage to them, as well as being careful about that threat deck. Overall, I've got to play this about 2 times. Really looking forward to playing this multiple times because it's just so much fun. Didn't have a bad time either game. I've read some reviews and met some other people that just absolutely love this game as well. Really don't have anything negative to say in gameplay. So overall, it's an excellent game. I think I'd give it overall 9 points. Score of 9 out of 10. Really fun game. Can't recommend this enough. Let me know what you think of Unstoppable. If you've got to play it, what kind of strategies have you developed? Which of the heroes have you got to play? Have you got to play any of the new heroes in Tyrant's End expansion? So let us know. Thanks. Bye.